My dear brothers and sisters, rizq is something every soul seeks, yet many forget where it truly comes from. Allah reminds us that He is Ar-Razak, the provider, and no door can open unless He wills it. While long supplications are beautiful, sometimes a short, sincere dua said with full conviction can change your life. When your heart is connected to Allah, even a single line becomes powerful. So make it a habit, while striving honestly, to turn to Allah and say with certainty, Allahumma ikfini bihalalika yin haramika, wa agnini bifadlika yaman siwak. Trust Allah, walk the right path, and watch how He provides from places you never imagined. Rizq is often misunderstood as being limited to money or material wealth. But in reality, its meaning in Islam is far broader and far deeper. Rizq refers to everything that Allah provides for the sustenance and well-being of His creation. This includes wealth, food, shelter, health, time, knowledge, guidance, peace of mind, righteous relationships, and even opportunities that lead a person closer to Allah. When Allah provides, He does so with wisdom, not merely according to what we desire, but according to what benefits us in this life and the next. Many people measure rizq by the size of their bank accounts, yet they overlook the unseen blessings in their lives. A person may have limited financial means, but enjoys good health, strong faith, a loving family, and a heart filled with contentment. Another may possess great wealth, but live in constant anxiety, poor health, or spiritual emptiness. This clearly shows that rizq is not about quantity alone, but about barakah, divine blessing, that brings goodness, stability, and benefit. Barakah can make a small amount sufficient, while its absence can make abundance feel empty. Okay, Allah distributes rizq according to His perfect knowledge. Every individual's provision is written, but this does not encourage laziness. Rather, it instills balance between effort and reliance. Islam teaches that seeking rizq is an act of worship when done through halal means and with the right intention. Working honestly, providing for family, and avoiding unlawful income are all part of respecting the concept of rizq. At the same time, believers understand that no effort alone guarantees success unless Allah places blessing in it. Rizq also includes spiritual nourishment. Guidance, iman, and closeness to Allah are among the greatest forms of provision. A heart that remembers Allah, finds peace in prayer, and remains hopeful during hardship has been granted a priceless rizq. Knowledge that benefits, wisdom that guides decisions, and patience during trials are all provisions that elevate a person's rank. These forms of rizq often go unnoticed, yet they shape a person's character and ultimate success. Okay, another important dimension of rizq is time. Every breath, every moment of life, and every opportunity to do good is a provision from Allah. Some people are granted long lives with little benefit, while others are given short lives filled with impactful deeds. The ability to use time wisely, to repent, to seek knowledge, and to serve others is a sign of blessed rizq. Wasting time, on the other hand, is a loss of a valuable provision that can never be reclaimed. Contentment plays a crucial role in understanding rizq. When a person believes that Allah knows what is best, their heart becomes calm. They stop comparing their provisions with others and begin appreciating what they have been given. This mindset protects a believer from jealousy, greed, and despair. True richness is not possessing much, but feeling satisfied with what Allah has decreed. Such contentment itself is a form of rizq that many chase but few attain. And rizq can also come in the form of trials. Difficulties, when approached with patience and trust in Allah, become a means of purification and growth. Hardship teaches reliance, humility, and gratitude. Through challenges, a believer may gain wisdom, strength, and closeness to Allah that comfort alone could never provide. In this way, even what appears negative can be a hidden provision with long-term benefit. Understanding rizq in this comprehensive way transforms a believer's outlook on life. It teaches gratitude in ease, patience in hardship, responsibility in action, and trust in Allah at all times. When a person recognizes that every blessing, seen and unseen, comes from Allah, their relationship with Him deepens, and their pursuit of rizq becomes balanced, ethical, and filled with purpose. The power of simple du'as lies not in their length, but in the sincerity and awareness with which they are made. Many people assume that a dua must be long, eloquent, or filled with complex words to be accepted, yet Islam teaches the opposite. Allah looks at the heart before the tongue. A short dua, spoken with humility, certainty, and full reliance upon Allah, can outweigh pages of words uttered without presence of heart. Simplicity allows the believer to focus deeply on meaning rather than form, and simple du'as reflect a deep understanding of Allah's mercy and closeness. When a person raises their hands and asks in a few heartfelt words, it shows certainty that Allah hears every whisper and understands every unspoken need. This awareness strengthens the connection between the servant and the Creator. A believer does not need to impress Allah with vocabulary. Allah is already aware of what the heart conceals. So this realization brings comfort and confidence, especially during moments of hardship or urgency. In short, du'as are also powerful because they are easy to remember and repeat consistently. Consistency is beloved to Allah, even if the action is small. A one-line dua repeated daily, after salah, during work, while traveling, or before sleeping, becomes a constant reminder of reliance on Allah. Over time, such repetition nurtures patience, hope, and trust. It turns everyday moments into acts of worship and keeps the heart connected to Allah throughout the day. Okay, now another strength of simple du'as is their accessibility. Every believer, regardless of knowledge level, age, or language, can make them. Islam does not restrict supplication to scholars or the eloquent. A child, an elderly person, or someone new to faith can call upon Allah with the simplest words. This universal accessibility highlights Allah's mercy and His desire for His servants to turn to Him without barriers or fear of inadequacy. Simple du'as also encourage sincerity over performance. When people focus too much on wording, they may lose focus on intention. A short dua allows the heart to speak honestly, without distraction. It helps the believer acknowledge their weakness and dependence on Allah. This humility is beloved to Allah and is often the reason du'as are accepted. True supplication is an act of surrender, not a display of linguistic skill. In times of difficulty, simple du'as become especially powerful. When emotions are overwhelming, a person may not find the words to express their pain. In such moments, a short plea from the heart can carry immense weight. Even calling upon Allah by His names or asking for relief in a few words is sufficient. Allah responds to the distressed when they call upon Him, regardless of how brief their supplication may be. Simple du'as also cultivate mindfulness and presence. Because they are short, they can be said with full concentration. This presence of heart transforms the dua from a routine action into a meaningful interaction with Allah. When a believer understands what they are asking and truly feels it, the dua becomes a source of inner peace, reassurance, and strength. This mindfulness strengthens faith and increases reliance on Allah in all matters. Education in Islamic spirituality emphasizes that Allah loves ease for His servants. The encouragement of simple du'as reflects this principle. Islam does not burden believers with rigid formulas. Rather, it invites them to speak to Allah naturally and sincerely. This understanding removes unnecessary pressure and fear, allowing the believer to approach Allah with love and hope rather than hesitation. And the simple du'as also teach gratitude alongside request. Many short supplications combine asking with acknowledgement of Allah's blessings and power. This balance nurtures a grateful heart and prevents entitlement. When a believer recognizes that every blessing comes from Allah, their du'as become more meaningful and respectful. Gratitude itself becomes a reason for increase in blessings. Ultimately, the power of simple du'as lies in their ability to align the heart with trust in Allah. They remind the believer that Allah is near, responsive, and generous. Through simplicity, consistency, and sincerity, a short dua can open doors, bring barakah, and transform a person's relationship with their Creator in profound ways. Effort and trust are two principles in Islam that must exist together, not separately. Trust in Allah does not mean abandoning action. An effort without trust leads to anxiety and disappointment. Islam teaches a balanced approach where a believer takes responsible steps while recognizing that outcomes are ultimately in Allah's control. This balance protects the heart from arrogance when success comes and from despair when results are delayed. Seeking rizq requires movement, discipline, and lawful means. A person is encouraged to wake early, work honestly, plan wisely, and use their skills to benefit themselves and others. Earning through halal means is not optional, it is a condition for blessings in one's provision. Even if unlawful paths appear easier or more profitable, a believer understands that true success is not measured by speed or quantity, but by purity and long-term benefit. I can trust in Allah begins after effort, not before it. When a person has done what is within their capacity, they place their reliance on Allah for the result. This reliance brings peace because the believer understands that what reaches them was never going to miss them, and what misses them was never meant for them. Such trust frees the heart from constant worry and overthinking, allowing a person to work with focus rather than fear. Islamic education emphasizes intention alongside effort. When a person works with intention of pleasing Allah, supporting their family, avoiding dependence on others, and contributing positively to society, their effort becomes worship. Even mundane tasks transform into acts of obedience when aligned with the right intention. This spiritual perspective gives meaning to work and prevents burnout, as the believer sees purpose beyond material gain. Effort also includes seeking improvement and learning. Islam encourages believers to develop skills, seek knowledge, and adapt to circumstances without compromising values. Laziness, negligence, and dependency are discouraged. At the same time, arrogance is equally condemned. A believer understands that talent, intelligence, and opportunity are themselves forms of rizq from Allah, not personal achievements to boast about. Trust in Allah requires patience, especially when results do not appear immediately. Many people lose hope when their efforts are not rewarded quickly. Islam teaches that delay is not denial. Allah may delay provision to protect a person, to test sincerity, or to grant something better later. This understanding helps a believer remain consistent without becoming bitter or resentful. But another aspect of trust is accepting outcomes with grace. Even when effort does not lead to the desired result, a believer maintains good thoughts about Allah. Complaining, questioning divine wisdom, or comparing one's journey with others weakens trust. Acceptance does not mean giving up. It means continuing to strive while being content with Allah's decree. Effort with trust also shapes ethical decision-making. When a believer truly relies on Allah, they do not feel pressured to compromise principles for success. They understand that sustenance comes from Allah alone, not from dishonesty, exploitation, or injustice. This mindset builds strong character and ensures that whatever provision comes carries barakah. Teaching this balance is essential in correcting misconceptions about reliance. Some believe that trusting Allah means waiting passively, while others believe that effort alone determines success. Islam rejects both extremes. True reliance is active, conscious, and grounded in faith. It motivates action while calming the heart. When effort is combined with trust, failure no longer defines self-worth, and success does not inflate ego. A believer remains humble, grateful, and persistent. This balance creates emotional stability and spiritual growth, allowing a person to navigate life's uncertainties with confidence and serenity. Consistency and gratitude are essential elements in attracting barakah into one's rizq. Barakah is not about having more, but about experiencing goodness, ease, and satisfaction in what one has. A person may earn a modest income, yet find it sufficient and fulfilling, while another may earn much more but struggle with constant stress and dissatisfaction. This difference often lies in consistency in obedience and gratitude toward Allah. Consistency refers to maintaining regular acts of worship and remembrance, even if they seem small. Daily prayers, frequent zikr, regular charity, and honest conduct build a strong spiritual foundation. Islam teaches that Allah loves deeds that are consistent, even if they are minimal. These small, steady actions invite divine blessings into one's life and create stability in faith and character. Inconsistent worship, on the other hand, weakens the connection with Allah and reduces awareness of His presence. Gratitude is a recognition of Allah's favors with the heart, tongue, and actions. It begins with acknowledging that every blessing, visible or hidden, comes from Allah alone. When a person regularly thanks Allah for what they have, their perspective shifts from scarcity to abundance. This mindset nurtures contentment and protects against greed, jealousy, and constant dissatisfaction. Gratitude transforms ordinary blessings into sources of joy and peace. The consistency in gratitude is just as important as consistency in worship. Thanking Allah only during ease but forgetting Him during hardship weakens spiritual growth. A believer is taught to be grateful in all circumstances, understanding that even challenges carry wisdom and benefit. This consistent gratitude strengthens faith and deepens trust in Allah's plan, making the heart resilient during trials. And gratitude also manifests through action. Using one's rizq in lawful and beneficial ways is a form of thankfulness. Wealth used to support family, help the needy, and promote good becomes a means of increase. Knowledge shared for benefit, health used in service, and time spent wisely are all expressions of gratitude. When blessings are used correctly, Allah places barakah in them and often increases them. Consistency in avoiding sign is another aspect that affects rizq. Persistent disobedience can remove barakah even if income appears to increase. Islam teaches that sins have consequences, some of which impact one's provision and inner peace. Maintaining consistency in repentance and self-correction protects a believer from spiritual decline and preserves blessings. A heart that frequently turns back to Allah remains receptive to His mercy. Gratitude also influences relationships, which are an important part of rizq. Being thankful for family, friends, and community strengthens bonds and invites harmony. Good relationships often open doors to opportunities, support, and emotional well-being. Neglecting gratitude in relationships leads to resentment and division, which can negatively affect both spiritual and worldly provision. And consistency creates discipline, while gratitude nurtures humility. Together, they protect a believer from arrogance when blessings increase, and from despair when they decrease. A grateful person recognizes that blessings are a trust, not an entitlement. This understanding encourages responsible behavior and ethical choices, ensuring that rizq remains pure and beneficial. Education in Islamic values emphasizes that gratitude is a means of increase. Allah promises that those who are thankful will be given more, not necessarily in quantity, but in quality and ease. This increase may appear as peace of mind, improved health, or opportunities that bring long-term benefit. Such forms of increase are often more valuable than material gain. When consistency and gratitude become habits, they shape a believer's lifestyle. Life is no longer measured by comparison with others, but by closeness to Allah and contentment with His decree. This approach creates inner richness and lasting satisfaction, allowing a person to experience true prosperity regardless of external circumstances